Okay, so in this video, we are going to start working with our base file. We are going to uh, create our base file, and you will have this BasePlan CAD file that you can download on Blackboard. Okay, so I'm going to open that up. And this is a 24 by 36 inch title block, okay? And it does have the viewport for the plan itself. It's at 20 scale. You can see that down here. And I have locked that. Now, all of this space over here, we will be using for our legends, our schedules, our sheet title, north arrow, all of those good things, okay? I like to put some stuff down here. In this case, with the shape and size of our site, that just wasn't gonna work. Okay, so I have these layers preloaded in here for you. And we're gonna go over to model space. Okay, there's nothing in here. All right, and the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna get on the right layer, okay? And I have a lot of junk in here. So I'm gonna right click here and I am gonna turn off lock. I'm gonna right click and I'm gonna turn off line weight. And description, definitely don't need that. New viewport freeze. Okay, so now I can give myself a little more space and I'm going to close that up. So I always have my layers open and we'll be working with this sheet set manager. Okay, that's how you put an entire CD construction documentation set together very nicely. Okay, but we're not going to need that right now, so I'll close out of that. But I do always have my properties open. Okay, so I'm on my XREF layer. Okay, I have a few of them. This is AutoCAD Guide. This is XREF Aerial. Okay, so that's the one I want first. So I'm going to double click on here to make that the active layer. I'm going to type in XREF. Okay, and this fella pops up and I'm going to click here and attach an image. Okay, and what we're going to do now is navigate to our project. Okay, so I am going to go to my OneDrive file, construction 2, projects, TTU. Okay, now this is going to be in the survey file, and I'm going to go up one, okay? And I don't want to go through all of that rigmarole to get here all the time, so I'm just going to drag this over and create a shortcut, all right? Because this is pretty much all I'll be using in CAD for the foreseeable future. Okay, so I'm going to double click on survey, all right? And let's find this TTU. Yours might say CC Aerial. I mistyped that. It should be Credit Union for CU. No big deal. Either way. All right, so we're going to select that. We're going to choose open. Okay, so you always want your path type to be relative. All that means is if you package up your project and bring it to another computer, it's still going to be able to link. The insertion point, you don't want to specify that. You just want it to be at 0, 0, 0. Now, this is the cool thing about scaling our image correctly in GIS. If you remember, we're working at 20 scale, and that translated with the sheet of paper we're using to 240, okay? And we don't want to rotate it. All right, and so we're just going to click OK, and boom, it's right where we want it. I'm going to double click the scroll wheel to do a zoom extents, and that looks good. Now I want to do the same thing with the parcels, okay? So what I'm going to do here, I want that on another layer, and that's parcel. So I'm going to double click that fella. All right, let's see what the problem is there. Let me escape. Oh, it's frozen. Okay, let me turn that on. Double click that. All right. Now, same deal, attach image, and let's find that parcel outlines we did. Okay, it's hard to see, but it's there. All right, same deal. All right, we just want this scale to be 240. Everything else, exact same as before. Click OK, and boom, we are good to go. So let's close out of our XREF Manager, do a Control S to save this, okay? And now we are gonna begin drawing, okay? And the more you draw in CAD, the better you get, all right? So I'm not gonna give you a bunch of CAD tips. Everybody kind of works in CAD on their own. I'm just gonna show you very quickly how I would draw these buildings, all right? And the important thing is that you get on the right layer, okay? So all of these layers correspond, right click here, page setup manager, and let's just see what it looks like. All of these colors correspond to the land effects CTB, okay? So the line, you don't need to worry about line weights, you just need to worry about colors, okay? So this dark yellow that I'm using for the building outline is very, very thick, okay? And that's what you want, all right? And you know what? While we're here, should have done this earlier. Let's zoom out a bit, because I gave you a handy guide. So let's go back to XREF, and let's get on the right layer, ACAD guides. All right, we're going to double click on that. That way you can just turn off the XREFs you don't need, and you don't need to mess around with all this, all right? So we're going to attach one more image, okay? And what I did, which is gonna, and actually we will be inserting some of these as well, because we need to know where, you know, which areas have roofs that overextend and that kind of stuff. But we're not gonna worry about that too much right now. There we go, CAD guides right at the top. All right, so I would recommend definitely adding this in. Now here you do want to specify insertion and scale, okay? Because this is just a little handy guide for you in case you want to make your own layers. Okay, this shows you the land effects colors, okay, that correspond to the line weights, okay? So let me show you something. For example, say I want to change this, I don't know, title block from white. I'd click on this. Okay, say I want it to be really dark. All I got to do is type in 40. Okay, I don't need to look for 40 or dark 40 up here. Just type it in, click OK, and boom, you got your dark yellow. All right, let's take that back to white. And line weights are incredibly important. I mean, you guys have learned about this since Studio One, and they are critical, okay? And as you can see, you really only need 5, maybe 6 line weights total, and this breaks that down really nicely. Okay, so this also gives you this little sheet I gave you. This gives you some other things that we'll talk about later, okay? And if you want to make your own layers, it'll teach you how to do that. All right, so let's close that down and do a Control S. Okay, last thing here, I think most of you guys know, but it's important to know how to work with your layers. It's just like an Excel document. You can sort your layers from A to Z or Z to A by clicking here. You can find all the ones that are frozen by just clicking here, all the ones that are off by clicking here. And one thing that you might not think is super handy, but I'm a colorful guy. I like to sometimes sort by color and just say, okay, there's, my building layer, because I know it's a dark yellow. Okay, so I'm gonna click on this guy, all right? And this is how I would personally draw these buildings. I would use my rectangle tool, REC, okay? And I am having a really hard time seeing what the heck's going on here. So let me see here real quick. All right, I think I was trying to be fancy with my CAD cursor, but I am just gonna draw out a box because these two are equal. Kind of not exactly. Let's get that up there. Okay. And then I'm gonna hit space to repeat that command. Okay, and I am gonna draw a box from there to here. Now you are gonna see places where it's off a little bit, and you just have to accept that, okay? Because this is not a surveyed project, okay? What we're using is, it would be like if you're drawing, existing structures. And as I said in the introduction on Blackboard, what we're trying to do here is we're like art students drawing from, those beautiful ancient marble statues in Rome, to learn the human figure. This is a very well done project. I scouted out the campus over the break, and I found these two that I thought would be very suitable as models that we could learn from. Okay, so I'm gonna draw, let's get another rectangle here. Okay, and I'm just gonna draw that down. Okay, and space bar. Let's take this up. And now, here is a really cool trick. I don't like to have a lot of snaps on because it just gets too nutty. But if you need a snap like here, I want to use closest, okay? So while you're in the middle of drawing and you need that snap, I don't want to go to this endpoint, I want to go here. This is one of my favorite CAD tricks. You hold down Shift and you right click, and then you can choose any snap you want. And I think that really is pretty cool. All right, so there is some touch-up work that I need to do here. Okay, so this would need to come over a bit. And I'm just going to do that with the polar. Okay, so what I would do next is I would use my trim and extend command. Okay, and so I'm going to actually turn off my parcel, or freeze it, and aerial. Okay, and so I'm going to hit TR for trim and just start trimming all these guys out. Okay, and if you just hold down on that trim, if you click and hold, you can get this nice line that we'll go through several. The other thing you can do is when you trim and extend are friends, so if you hold down Shift, you can go to extend and vice versa if you chose extend first. Okay, so then I'm going to hit chamfer. Okay, let's get these guys chamfered up. They're not working like that. Okay. And you do want to take your time with CAD. I know this is right now. I wish I was, a little cooler with it, showing you guys a CAD master, but the little things in CAD that are off can really make a big difference later on in terms of your quality. Okay, so now, there we go. And then what I'm going to do is just hit J, boom, for join, grab all these guys, and I have one nice outline for my building envelope. Okay, so I'm going to turn the rest of these guys off. I'm actually going to turn the parcel viewer on. Okay, so that is the way I would draw this building. All right, now what you need to do is draw the rest of these buildings, okay, and use this building envelope layer. All right, now some of these are going to be roof outlines, okay, and roofs are always dashed, all right, and so keep that in mind. And here you go. This is just a simple grass lawn. You're going to have a layer in there. Now, everything has to be a closed polyline, okay? And that's why I did this the way I did, is to show you a way you can do a closed polyline. Now for this grass, for example, I can just come in here and use this wildcard and see I don't have a grass layer, so I would have to make one, but you can just do a quick rectangle. But everything needs to be closed polylines, and that is because when we do our materials plan, we are going to use land effects to quickly calculate how much sod we need to tell the contractor to bid on. We need to tell him how much brick he's going to need to bid on, okay? And if it's a closed polyline, boom, land effects is not only going to give us that number, it's going to put it all in a schedule for us, okay? So it's going to be really nice. All right, now, last thing I want to let you guys know is this is as far as you need to draw, okay? Just right here. You need to label your streets, okay? And get all of this parking in here, obviously, but you don't need to put in any trees or anything like that, any vegetation other than the lawn areas right now. Okay, we're going to do the planting plan later. Okay, so that is it for drawing your base plan. Now, when you have a good base plan, you are going to XREF that into all of your other drawings as obviously the base. So, for example, when we do our planting plan, you are going to XREF in the base, okay, and you may also XREF in the hardscape plan, and then you're just going to start dropping your trees and your shrubs and everything else in there, okay? Now, keep in mind, in the base plan, you don't have to do any hatching or things like that, but what you need to do is you need to make sure things are on the right layers, okay? So basically here, you're simply gonna have pavement, all right? You're gonna have some of this brick, you're gonna have some lawn area, all right? So that's what you're gonna need to do for your base plan, all right? So work on that. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email, and don't worry about the title block and things like that for this, because this plan isn't actually going to really be part of our sheet set. It's just, again, the base to build all the other sheets on top of. Okay, so that's it for creating your base plan.